Hi, it's Natalie
and Olivia,
and we're here with Jill Osborne, author of my favorite book series, The Good News Shoes.
Today we're going to ask her questions about how to improve our writing and her experiences as a published author.
It's great to be here. I am super excited about it. Bring on the questions.
First question. What is your favorite Riley May story you have ever written?
Author, what their favorite story is they've ever written is kind of like asking them which of their children they love better, because we love them all. And for different reasons. I have the 3 books out with Riley May right now. And the first one I love because I actually climbed up Half Dome and I have all those experiences. And that was the first book that I actually wrote and had published. And so it's kind of like my first child, my baby. And it took like 5 years and I just love it because of that. The second book I love because that was the easiest one to write. For some reason, it just kind of came out and the plot worked and it was exciting and it was wonderful. So it was like, that's like my easy child. And then the third one was the one in Africa. And that was like the problem child. And it wasn't the problem child because it was bad or anything, but there was just a lot of challenges with writing that one. It was wrapping up the whole series. I know I want to continue the series, but I had to wrap up the story, like who the bad guys are. And he needed Riley to really hear from God in that one. And I really think that that's why I was having trouble, because I think the enemy didn't want me to have that story come out about how God has a perfect plan for your life. And so my editor quit during that time because she was sick. And so I got new editors in the middle. I had to cut some things. I was literally on my knees praying to God, please, Lord, when I stand up, you're going to have to help me figure out what I'm going to do with this book. And so I prayed a lot more for that one. And so probably that third one, because it has such a spiritual message, I would say is the closest to my heart, but I love them all.
We totally understand.
Yeah.
And have you been ever stumped about what to write? And if so, how did you move forward?
I never run out of ideas. I'm kind of an idea hamster. So there's just things going in my brain all the time. Oh, what if this happened? What if that happened? What if this happened? I've got ideas for book series that I don't have enough lifetime to write them. But sometimes when I'm actually writing the actual story that I'm on, I might get stumped with what to do in a particular scene. Like right now I'm writing a scene and I don't know how it's going to end. I don't know how to get out of it. And so what I normally do when that happens is I go for a run. I'm a runner. I go for a walk. This is when I get my housework done, because it's like, I better go wash some dishes and I'll figure it out. Or I'm really creative in the shower. So I walk away from it and I don't try to force it. And then the idea just comes to me. It's like, oh, well, of course, that's how it ends. So yeah.
That's really supportive.
Hopefully it's helpful. Yeah, if you ever get stumped, walk away, and that's when your creative juices start to flow.
I know this answer already, but some people, like my friend Olivia here, wants to know, where do you get the names for your characters?
Names for my characters come from different places. Riley May is actually my granddaughter's name. She has a different last name. It's not Hart. But when she was first born, she was 1 year old, and that's when I was going to start writing the book series. And I thought, Riley May is a great name. So I would love to write book series for all my granddaughters. I have 3 right now. I have a Reagan Christine and I have an Emmy Jane. And so I'm already thinking of series for them. But other names actually come from my family. I don't actually make the character that they're not actually that person, because you don't want to do that. It's fiction. But I will, like I have my nieces and my nephews are in there. I don't know. Yeah, I think my kids are in there. I've worked in children's ministry. I've been a children's pastor, and I've worked in youth ministry. And so I try to get some of those kids' names in there so that when they read the books, they'll go, hey, there I am. And so sometimes I mix them together. Like my niece is named Taylor, and then I have a nephew named TJ. He's a boy. So if you know the Riley May books, TJ, both of them in there. She's Taylor, so it's like my niece and my nephew. So it's just fun to kind of pepper the books with people that I've known over the years and their names.
Flip and Fawn, who are they?
Flip and Fawn, I just thought of because I was sitting on my couch thinking they got to have some really weird names, and that just popped into my head. So I don't know any Flips and I don't know any Fawns. Do you?
No,
either. So yeah, they had to be original weird names. And so Riley would kind of start to go, is that really their name?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's just names pop into my head.
So Natalie, did you know all that?
Not all of it, some of it.
Yeah.
I've started working on a story, and can you give me some ideas on my start?
I don't know if you've done any reading on the ingredients for a good story, but it usually there's like 4 ingredients to every good story. And if you watch your favorite movie or you read your favorite book, if it's a really good one, like your favorite, then definitely all those ingredients are there and they're strong. If you actually see a story, read a story, watch a movie, and it's like, that's all right, it's probably missing one of those 4 ingredients. And so the first ingredient, actually, I have some props to show you. The first prop, this actually represents a likable character. So the star of your story needs to be really likable. So work a little bit on characterization with them. So you think about their name, put their name right here, and think about all the different things about that character that makes them likable. They don't have to be perfect. And that wouldn't be likable, right? Like people, you don't really like perfect people, do you? So they've got flaws, they've got strengths. And so you really want to work on your characterization of your main character and also your supporting characters, but your main character especially, because don't you stick with a series or a movie because of the character? Like each story might be different. They might be doing different things, but you want to find out like what happens to that person next. So you really want to work on making sure that you get solid, likable characters, because then your reader's really going to care what happens. And then the next thing is, I usually write a big question mark on here, is the person needs to know, they need to want something really bad. So we call that an objective. What do they want? Big question mark. Or what do they don't want? Maybe they're trying to get out of something, like with Riley trying to get out of her book contact. So you've got your likable character, and they really have to want something bad. And the badder they want it, the more exciting your story, because the next part is going to be a big brick wall. I got this. Pretend this is a big brick wall. This is going to be what gets in their way, their conflict. So you have a likable character, you have an objective, what do they want, and then you have a brick wall. What's getting in their way? And this is where you bring the bad guys in. This is bad situations in. So if they want it really bad, this is really trying for them not to get it. So you can see how the story's starting to get really exciting here. And then the last thing is you got to have a really wow ending. Okay. And this is, you got to be creative. Think about if you want to have a happy ending, do you want to have a surprise ending? Do you want to have it be not exactly what the character wants, but maybe something better they never thought of? So the wow ending. So those 4 things, when you're getting your start, you don't have to have everything planned out and all that, but think about how are you going to make this character super likable? What do they want? Who's going to keep them from getting it? And what's the wow ending? So I don't know if that's helpful or not, but it helps me. I have to think about every time I start a new book.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. How do you develop your characters? My brother's always talking about making the characters 3-dimensional and not flat. Do you have any tips?
Okay. Characters are really important. They're like, you have to get to know your characters as well as you know each other. Like you guys are really good friends, right? So Olivia, you know how Natalie would react in most situations, right? You even can say some things and you know how she's going to react, because not only that she's energetic and kind and happy, but you also know how she uses those characteristics to react to things in life. So what you maybe would do is just start as you go through life. Think about, like with my character Riley May, what would Riley May do? What would Riley May do if I'm out hiking and and I see a rattlesnake go across the path? But what would Riley May do? And it actually brings the character to life. And if you think about, like your brother said, make them sure they're not flat. You want them to be 3D. Have you seen a flat cardboard cutout, maybe of somebody at a movie theater? That, as opposed to if they actually walked in the movie theater, it's like you would actually know much more about that character than if you just looked at their cardboard cutout. So the cardboard cutout is kind of like the list of their characteristics. The 3D is actually making the reader know what this person would do in situations, like how do they handle it. And you can have 2 people who are kind and compassionate, but they actually would react differently in different situations. That's what makes them really unique. So just really get to know their characters. Some authors interview their characters. Like they'll go to Starbucks and say, so Riley May, tell me about blah, blah, blah. And, we just use your imagination to make them real.
I find that really helpful.
Okay, good. I'm glad. You have any other questions?
Yes. Should I plan out my chapters before I write my story?
Chapters. This is my opinion on chapters. I never plan out chapters. You like scenes. And this is why I say this, like say you have a beach scene, or what scene are you writing right now in your story? Do you have a scene you're writing right now?
I would, yeah. Like I'm like at the school right now would be my scene probably.
I'm kind of like in the middle of the woods right now.
You're in the woods, you're at school. All right, so the thing is with me, I never know where my chapters are going to end. I think I do, but what we want to do is we want to wrap it up all nicely. Like you have your scene at the school and everything happens and then it ends, and then we want to make that the next chapter. But that doesn't always make it the most exciting place to end the chapter. A lot of times, like for example, I'm writing a scene with Riley in Hawaii and she's surfing, okay, because she's a surfer, and she just got a little bit too confident, and she kind of like decided she wanted to go shoot the tube, go in the little tube. And so for me to end the chapter after she surfs through it and everything happens and she's okay, that would be one way to end it. Or I could actually have the wave, wipe her out and end the chapter right there. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So then what happens is your reader goes, whoa, I need to read the next chapter to see if she survives. But that's the scene hasn't ended. The whole scene would end when she's done with whatever she's going to do and whatever's going to happen with her. So I would just say plan scenes like, okay, this scene, I'm going to be in the woods. And then after they get out of the woods, where are they going to go? Mm-hmm. Then plan that maybe they're going to go back home, and then plan that. But then later on, when you're going back over your book and editing, figure out the most exciting places where to end your chapters. So your reader will keep reading. All right.
I started my story last year and actually got it published on Amazon. I know you have read it and it's spawned some great ideas. But now I'm working on a sequel. Can you give me some tips on the chapter I sent you? I feel it needs more work.
Okay, let me pull yours up because I have, I think I have Olivia's here. Yours is, okay, got it. So this is the chapter, and I read that, by the way, and it was really, really great. And congratulations on publishing it on Amazon.
Thanks.
Because, yeah, that's just amazing. I don't even know how to publish on Amazon. So, so I see chapter 18 here, right? And you are explaining the situation to Principal Wedward. And you have an Evan. You guys both have an Evan in your story. Did you know that? Yeah. Do you know someone named Evan?
No, but we didn't talk about it just together like that.
Yeah.
It's just a popular name. Okay. I was just wondering if there's someone special named Evan out there. Okay. So I would say for this one, I read through it. There's a lot of super action in this. Like there's Rach screaming, no, I screamed, but it was too late. And are those little asterisks there at the end of the chapter, maybe?
No, this is like it's different time. Like time is skipping in between those.
Okay, yeah, that was really good because it makes me want to keep reading. I would say that one thing that really helps me when I'm writing a scene is, you have it in your head, right? You have everything in your head that's happening. You can see where you are. You can see what the characters look like, what they're wearing. You can actually see how they gesture, like I'm gesturing right now. I'm putting my palms up in the air. And you know who's talking. And so the challenge for a writer is to get that from our head to the paper so that the reader can enjoy what's in your head. Okay, and this is something I really have to work on too, because I like to just like move things along and then I forget to tell them, where I am. So I would say on this one, and this is chapter 18. So in the chapter beforehand, you might have already told me where I am, but I'm not really sure where we are in this particular scene. I don't know. We might be at the police station because we're talking to the police, but we might be at the school, right?
Yes.
But I'm not sure. And so unless you said it right before, you might want to set the scene for your reader. Otherwise, they call it floating heads. They're just floating and we don't know where they are. And like I said, you might have told me in the chapter before, but I'm just now reading this chapter. So make sure there's no floating heads. So that will help you know exactly where they are. And you don't have to, like it says here, you could say, after explaining our situation to Principal Woodward in his office at the police station, something like that. Just so there's a setting, like, okay, they're not just floating. And then, let's see. One thing I would work on is what we call a dialogue attribution. You know what that means? It means so basically something that tells us who's talking. So an easy one would be, do you like my story? Natalie asked. Okay, so I know Natalie just said that, okay? And sometimes we authors we do it too. We get several sentences in a row. And have you ever had that in a book where you have to go back to see who started talking because I don't know who's talking now? So I would really work on where it says, yes, we were the last to see him, I think. On and on this went. I felt like I was being interrogated. That's when it happened. Rach, no, I screamed. Now there's really good because I know you screamed it, right? But it was too late. So just make sure after every sentence or before each sentence, somehow we know who's talking. And you don't always have to say, he said, she said, he said, she said. You could actually use what we call a beat. And a beat is an action that happens, like Jill, let's see. All right. Jill was frustrated. I'm frustrated with my manuscript. Jill threw her pen across the room. Okay, so you know Jill's the one who said, I'm frustrated with my manuscript because I threw the pen across the room. So I would maybe work on who's talking and who they're talking to. And we kind of break it up. A lot of times it's fine to say Natalie said or Olivia said. That's just great. But you don't want to have it be, hi, Natalie said. Hi, Olivia said. Do you want to go to the park? Natalie said. You know, you want to kind of work in some action beats and things like that. The other thing I would say, where I just read that about being interrogated, I felt like I was being interrogated. And she does feel like she's being interrogated, but we authors have something we call show, don't tell. And it's very tough. But we always have to work on it with each other too, is we have a tendency to want to tell people things rather than show them through what's happening in the book. And for you, Natalie, because you're doing this in first person, which means you're actually, the girl is telling the story. Like when I write Riley May, she's telling the story. It's very tempting to say, I feel sad, or I felt this way, or I felt that way. What you could do to add a little bit of spice to it is show that she feels like she's being interrogated, okay? Like, well, let's just say someone's sad, okay? And you could say, I feel sad. Or if you want to use a third person, you know, Evan felt sad. Well, instead of saying how they felt, show how he felt, you know? Evan threw the covers over his head and snuggled down in the bottom of his bed and cried, you know? Instead of saying Evan felt sad, it makes it actually, that makes your characters more three-dimensional, right? Because you've just said how they handle their sadness. Like with her, with being interrogated, you think about the lights are on them and people are just shooting questions. You could actually do it with what she says back, you know? People are asking questions, and you can say, stop all the questions, you know, instead of saying, I feel like I'm being interrogated. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely.
So tell each other, show it, don't tell it. And that'll actually make it more interesting for your reader, because they can see, you know, or you can just say, quit interrogating me. You can actually you can actually say that instead of saying, I felt this way. Okay?
Thank you.
And
And
okay, next question. Did you have one?
do you ever let people read your books before they're finished?
Yes, all the time. It's very humbling because I actually, for all my books, I had a critique partner, somebody that will write chapters and I will let them read them. And that's the kind of stuff that they'll tell me, the stuff I just told you about yours. they will tell me, I don't even know who's talking here. Who's talking? Where are they? I'm like, oh, even though I've been writing books for a while, I still forget, you know, or she'll say, show, don't tell, or yeah, all those kinds of things. And then I'll go back and I'll rewrite it. And it's always better when I get somebody else's, because once again, I told you, I have my picture in my brain, but the person who's reading it for me, they don't have the picture. So they keep saying, you know, no, I can't see the scene, or I don't know exactly what you're talking about. And then definitely before they're published, many people read them. Editors read them, copy editors read them for all grammar mistakes and all that kind of stuff. So you have to be a little bit tough, thick-skinned, because people will read it and they'll say things to you. And, you know, it might hurt your feelings a little bit because you're like, I worked really hard on that. But someone told me once when we first started writing is never get married to something you write. And I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but it's like never get so attached to it that it's like if they tell you to change it, you're going to be devastated. Try not to take it personally, because what's going to happen is they're going to make you better and your book's going to be better. And you'll be like, oh, I'm so glad that I didn't, you know, print that first thing, because this is so much better. So, yeah.
And I hear, Natalie, you're going to be reading some.
Yeah.
Okay, so sometimes I feel like I rush through a chapter and make it too short. I just throw out my ideas and I feel they need more detail. So how do you think I can make them longer?
Okay. Exactly what I was saying before. Remember everything in your brain that happened? Is it all on paper or not? Yeah. And I am exactly like you. I just want to get through it. It's not like I want to get through it because I want to do a good job on it, but I'm so excited about my next idea that, and maybe the scene I'm writing right now is super important, but I really want to get to the river rafting scene, you know, where she flies out of the boat, you know, so I got to get past it. But remember that it's going to be most enjoyable for your reader if you give them everything you've got in your brain. So this is what we call the work of writing. There's the fun of writing, but then there's the work. And so I would think, like for your chapter I was looking at, Olivia, there's so much here that's really, really good with Eva. Oh, it's Eva and Evan, huh? The twins. Is that their names? Or Evan and Eva? Anyway, so I don't know where they are. You might have told me in chapter 14 where they are, but in this chapter, are they at a castle? I don't know, because there's a queen. There's at someone's house, I think. So you can add a little bit of like where they are. You can add they ran towards their parents. It says something about their parents just wouldn't stand still. Well, what are they doing? Are they dancing, or are they pacing back and forth, or are they trying to get the twins away from them? So you can actually make your chapter longer by everything in your head going on the paper. And don't worry about if you write too much, because then later on you can edit that stuff out. You can say, oh, that's way too much description. Like I don't know what they're wearing. I know they're frozen in fear, but how exactly are they frozen in fear? So just work on maybe adding a little bit more to your description, and think about what else might happen in the chapter to make it exciting. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, the most important question that we want to know is, drumroll please, when is the fourth one going to be at? And can you give a little teaser?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I'm going to ask you guys to pray, because Christian publishing, or publishing in general, each publishing house has a certain amount of titles that they release every year, and they have different editors that, kind of find books that they really like and they want to get them published. And so the company can only publish so many titles. And so right now, Riley May is not on their list for titles to publish, just because they've already got the ones they want to publish. But I'm going to keep proposing, and they like Riley May. So you guys can call the publisher. Now you can write to them, email them, whatever, pray a lot, and let them know you like Riley May, and they may consider. But I'm writing them anyway, because there's all kinds of options for publishing. They'll either come out with Zondervan, or I can self-publish them, or another publisher might pick them up. But right now I'm writing 3 books. 3. The first one is Riley May Book 4, and that's the one you want to hear about. This is the one that takes place in Hawaii, in the first 3, she's had a really rough time, and they promised her a vacation, right? She has to go and model these flip-flops in Hawaii, but they also promised her that she could bring her friends. So Rusty's going to go, and TJ's going to go, and another person's going to go who's somewhat of a surprise, so I won't tell you, but they'll add a little bit of fun to it. But they're going to get over there, and whenever Riley Mae goes anywhere, it's not just normal. Things happen, and so her Hawaiian vacation is not going to actually be as good as she thinks. There's going to be a natural disaster. That'll be the teaser for you. And during this vacation, all the adults are going to be separated from all the kids. And so they're not going to know if the adults are alive or dead, and they're going to have to go out and find them.
Can we have the book now?
And so I've actually been to, it takes place on Kauai, one of the islands, Kauai. You can look that up. And a lot of this is going to take place on the Nepali coastline. And the main idea of the book, because there's always a spiritual idea of the book, is that lost people are incredibly important to God. And as you guys know, TJ, her friend, may or may not be a Christian. And so she's lost, and the parents are lost. And to what lengths would we go to find a lost person? And so there's going to be a lot of scary moments, but a lot of fun. And as you know, Riley Mae is going to learn some things about God, and we'll see what happens with TJ. So is that a good enough teaser?
Yes, I want to read it right now.
I really was scaring myself the other day when I was writing when the actual disaster happens. I was kind of scared. So like I said, I get it in my head and it's really happening. But anyway, so anything else that I can answer for you, or
have you actually been to Hawaii, or did you just like?
I'm trying to go back. I've been praying to go back, but so far God's not answering that. So if you know anybody who lives in Hawaii that would like to put up a starving author, so I can do my research, that would be great. Let me know. But I have been to Kauai. I went there for my 25th wedding anniversary with my husband in 2005. So I have been to all the different places that I'm going to write about. So that is always helpful when you've been there. But I want to go again because I want to imagine what it would be like if this particular natural disaster actually happened. And I won't tell you what it is, but you can kind of maybe do some research on certain things in Hawaii. Yeah. So I've been there. Want to go back.
Well, I guess I have to pack my bags for Hawaii. And the second most important question is, will I have Riley Mae Christmas under my tree this year?
Oh, Riley Mae Christmas is a novella that I started writing in November or October or something. And Riley Mae Christmas actually happens in the timeline after Hawaii, after the thing that happens in Hawaii, and before the next one. And I'm almost done with it. And so since you've agreed to be one of my beta readers, one of my readers before it comes out, then you're going to see it before Christmas. I don't know if it'll be published by Christmas, but you'll see it. You're going to see it pretty soon because it's almost done. It's actually shorter. It's probably half the length of my other Riley Mae novels. And it actually takes place up in Yosemite again for a special life occasion. I won't say what it is yet, but it's super fun. And it's not going to go as planned, and there's all kinds of crazy things that happen.
So,
Go ahead.
So Riley Mae Christmas will be the 4th or 5th book?
It's the 5th. It would come after book 4. But you might be able to read it, Natalie, before I get done with book 4, because it sort of stands alone. Mm-hmm. So, and then I'm also writing a series about Brady, her little brother, when he's in 6th grade. So he's older, and that's one I'm working on right now. And he's a much different character than Riley Mae. He's and he's going to be kind of getting involved with the FBI because he's like super smart, And so that one's been fun. It's been interesting to write that character because Brady's smarter than me. So I have to always use bigger words and try to think like a smarter person, and it's hard, but it's been fun. So those are the 3 I'm writing: the book 4 in Hawaii, the novella at Christmas, and then it's called, right now the working title is Too Smart Heart, and he's going to be working on things with the FBI. So anyway, yeah.
So thank you so much, Jill, for joining us today and taking the time to answer our questions. And we love your books and can't wait to see what you write next.
All right. Well, I can't wait to have you read them. And I just want to say too that I really appreciate you girls and what you're doing in your lives. And the reason that I actually write for middle grade readers your age, like preteens, is because I really believe that you have unique talent, that you can do anything you put your mind to. Example, what you did today in interviewing an author. And I just want you all to know that God has made you a masterpiece, and He's made you for a particular purpose. And so, in all my books and just everything I do, I'm always praying for you, that in here in your heart, you'll know that you have a special purpose in this life, and that you'll just continue to, learn new things and keep looking to God to just keep praying and asking Him to speak to you, because He will. And He'll encourage you on your journey no matter what happens. And just like Riley May, when things go wrong, He's there. When things go right, He's there. And He's making you into the young woman of God that He wants you to be. So that is my main heart in writing. And so I hope it comes through in my books, and I hope it encourages you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. So am I supposed to hang up?
Yeah.